Today I'm going to be working on a 2010 Mini Cooper S convertible.
The truth.
Today we're going to be adding this dump valve spacer to the Mini Cooper. And this is the part number. I'll link it down below. Now I'm also going to be installing the ALTA blow-off valve spring. It's right there. I'll do a test with and without it on. First thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and disconnect the negative on your battery. Access it through this little door right up here. So the next thing you're going to want to do, go ahead and loosen up these band clamps. And I'm assuming it probably doesn't typically come with a zip tie right here, but mine does. So I'm going to be cutting that. I'm going to put a band clamp on there. And then also remove this little sensor because we're going to be taking off this whole pipe to get it out of the way. Now you can just maneuver this hose and this wire connector kind of out of the way. So what we need to access is right here. So next I'm going to be taking off this little 8mm bolt right here and undoing this clamp just to move the coolant reservoir out of the way to give us a bit more room to work down in here. Now I've just secured this up out of the way with a little zip tie. When you're taking off this line, which points over here, just be careful. Some coolant will spill out, so I put a pair of locking pliers on there just to kind of hold it. But yeah, ask me how I know. Now there's going to be 3 Allen screws you're going to be taking out. I've got my Allen wrench on the first one right here. Second one's right there. The third one is kind of back around the corner. But before you take any of those out, we're going to disconnect this connector right here. And remember the position this is in before we take it out as well. The connector is facing kind of down. Each one of these Allen screws is a 5mm. So I was having a hell of a time trying to get those out with my 5mm Allen key like this. So what I ended up doing was using a 1/4 inch drive ratchet with a 1/4 inch socket, and then putting one of these little Allen key fittings into it, and it's a 5mm. So it works a whole lot better because I can sit there and just ratchet it instead of trying to turn it, take it out, turn it, take it out. Once you get all 3 of those bolts out, nice and easy, maneuver this guy right up out of there. Alright, so you can see the new bolts are a whole lot longer than the old ones, and that's because this spacer will be going into the car, and then a relief valve is going to attach right to it. So that extra space needs to be taken up with these new screws. Now this guy's only going to fit on here one way, so I may have gotten it first try. Yep, I got it first try, but you can see, try and spin it, it just doesn't quite line up any other way. So that one's off. But this is the way that it's going to go on the car. And this only goes one way. It obviously can't go that way. So it's going to fit on this way and then fit right on the car. And remember, this is kind of pointed somewhat down. Alright, so to disassemble a little blow-off valve here, I'm just going to kind of grab it right about here and pull. And this is the old spring that we're going to be replacing with the new spring. So the one on the right is our new ALTA spring. The one on the left is the stock spring. It's a little bit taller, but the compression is definitely different. This one is a lot squishier. This one's a lot stiffer. So we'll see how it sounds once we get it on the car. I'm just going to slide it onto the shaft here. And then grab our cup. Nice and easy. Slide it over the top and press all the way down to to get the cup to snap into place, just like that. Now we have our new spring inside. One thing you just want to make sure of is that this little O-ring here is all the way seated into the groove, along with this one as well. And of course the one on your stock part. Just make sure everything is seated all the way down, because if it does bubble up and it kind of pinches, you'll have a release of pressure on it. So you want to make sure it's going to have a good seal. Now I'm just going to apply a little bit of thread lock on each one of these bolts. That way they won't come back out. Now I'm going to start by securing it with the top bolt first, and just kind of get it hand tied in there, and then I'll start working the other two. Another reason you want to start these guys by hand is to make sure you don't cross thread them, because if you send it in with a lot of force, it'll mess up the threads on the inside of your turbo housing here, and then you're going to be screwed. Once you got all three of them in there, go ahead and snug them all up. You don't want to put too much force on them either, but I get it to about where the ratchet stops spinning and just kind of push just a little bit more. I don't know the exact torque spec on these ones, but using a 1/4 inch drive, you don't have to torque them too much. Right about there should be good. Now go ahead and plug in the connector for your release valve down at the bottom. You'll hear it audibly click back in. There it goes. Now I'm going to be putting my coolant reservoir back into place. So I'm going to cut my little temporary zip tie. Put it back to where it belongs. Don't forget to put your little 8mm bolt that goes right here too. Alright, now we're going to be reinstalling our intake pipe. So we're going to have the one hose that goes here, the connector here, and then the clamp that fits right up here at the top, and this bottom one fits right down here at the turbo. Now with the clamps right here near the turbo, it's got this little indent on the clamp itself. That matches up right here with this plastic piece on the hose. So just be sure to line it up whenever you're tightening it. Now you just want to get these good and snug and just make sure it doesn't go anywhere. If you tighten them up too much, you might end up cracking the housing. Now if you're like me and ended up spilling some coolant, don't forget to top it off. Finally, go ahead and reconnect the negative and seal it back up. Well, I hope this video helps. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. If you like the music that was in the background of any of these videos, I'll put a link in the description to the artist's SoundCloud.